guys. We're getting ready to finish the book. I don't know if we will finish it this video or next video. I thought I would do another Fern live cam. However, she's being super active right now. She's trying to learn how to escape her cage again. So she may be all over the place, in and out of the camera. I will try to move the camera when I notice her in a new spot, but when I'm reading, that's kind of hard. So anyway, we are on chapter 35 of Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus. Alrighty. Dad drove me home after soccer tryouts. He had shown up when they ended, like he had never had any doubt that I would go try out. He beamed and asked a million questions as I described every detail of the tryouts to him in the car. When we got to Stagecoach Pass, he opened the center console and pulled out an envelope. "I found this in a drawer in the steakhouse," he said. I saw that one word was written in it, desk. "They don't fit in the desk in the office," he opened. The flap on my book bag and the slipped envelope inside. "Let me know what you find in there, Sheebs." Fern is so active right now. Okay. I ran as fast as I could to the storage shed before I lost the window. Oh my gosh. I ran as fast as I could to the storage shed before I lost the last bit of light creeping in through the flimsy window. I slipped a foot out of the flat and opened my book bag. I remembered the envelope and slid my toes inside. I pulled out a ring with 2 small keys hanging off of it. I felt like I was playing one of those impossible carnival games as I attempted to slip one of those keys held between my toes into the hole in the desk. I finally fit, and I pushed it all the way to the bottom of my foot. I took all my strength to turn it, and it hurt the skin of my toes, but the key turned in the lock. I pulled the bottom drawer out and looked inside. Another stack of papers. I pulled those out, barely able to read any of them in the failing light. But underneath the stack lying on the bottom of the drawer was a framed picture. I carefully lifted it out with my feet and laid it on the floor in front of me. It was of 2 red-haired women. They stood in front of the steakhouse, and they had their arms around each other. The older one I clearly recognized, and the other I didn't, but I could see my face in hers. She wore the necklace, and she was pregnant. I slipped the picture into my book bag and carried it home. Mom was already putting dinner on the table when she turned and gave me a huge smile. "So, how did it go?" For a moment, I didn't know what she was talking about. "Oh, soccer?" "Of course soccer," she laughed, and then her face fell. "Did it not go well?" "No, it went great." "What's wrong?" she asked. "I opened the desk," I told her. She stared at me silently. "I found a picture in there. It's in my bag." Mom immediately lifted my bag off me and carried it to the table. She opened it and pulled the picture out, and she studied it intensely. "I know where it goes," I told her. We walked to the museum together, and my mom pressed the picture against the empty space in the wall. The Kavanaughs, 2004, the year I was born. Mom let out a big sigh. "After you showed Dad and me the picture of that girl, we worried maybe it was something like this, but we weren't sure, and we didn't know who would have. We even tried contacting the adoption agency we used, but your old birth certificate and any identifying records were sealed. They couldn't tell us anything. We hadn't decided what else to do about it yet." "I don't know what to do about it either," I said. "Do you think she knows?" Mom turned to me and ran a hand down my hair. How could she not? She put her hands on my shoulders and squeezed. "Do you want to go talk to her?" I looked at the older lady in the picture. I needed to know, and my parents needed to know. I took a deep breath. "Okay," I whispered. "Do you want me to go with you?" I looked up at her. "I think maybe I should go alone." Mom nodded. "I understand." I made my way to the steakhouse, the photo in my bag. I watched as Josephine took an order from a table and then followed her back to the kitchen. She noticed me as she placed a couple of burgers on her tray. "What you doing back here, Avon?" "I need to talk to you." "I'm awfully busy." She pushed through the swinging doors back to the dining room. I followed her out to her table. I waited while she placed the burgers in front of her customers. "I need to talk to you," I told her again as I followed her back into the kitchen. I could have easily walked away, but I wouldn't let her or my nerves scare me off. She stopped and folded her arms. Now what could be so important that you would interrupt like this? I've got tables out there waiting. I placed my bag on the desk and opened the flat and pulled out the framed picture with my foot. It was heavy. My toes trembled and it started to slip. Josephine reached out and grabbed it before it could drop. She slowly turned the picture over in her shaking hands. I know you know her, I said. Please tell me the truth. Yes, her eyes filled with tears as she stared at the photograph. I do. This was taken the year I was born, and I found another picture of when she was my age, and she looked exactly like me. She's my mother, isn't she? Josephine nodded. And you're both Kavanaughs, I said. She nodded again. Yes, she whispered. She was my daughter. That means you're my grandmother? She looked up at me from the picture. I am. Is that why I'm here now? Are you the one who brought us here? You're here because I wanted to see you, to meet you. I shook my head. What for? Were you ever going to tell me? No. I took a deep breath and I let it out slowly. I'm so confused. So where is she anyway? Is she somewhere around here? She's gone, Josephine said. Died a few weeks after you were born. Oh, I breathed. I had always assumed my parents had given me up because of my disability. I had never considered that my mother had died. I told her it was too soon to do a show, but she wouldn't listen to anyone. No one ever told her she couldn't do something. She wiped at her eyes. No, sir, she added in a whisper. We think she had a dizzy spell, because it was unlike her to fall off a horse like that. I bit my lip. I'm so sorry. Josephine shook her head and waved a hand in the air. What about my father, I asked. Josephine shrugged. Don't know. Ava never told me who it was. You see, she always wanted a baby, but never did find anyone she wanted to marry. She was getting older, and I guess she decided to take things into her own hands. She said I did it all on my own, and she could too. She was always like that. Take charge, do everything on her own, no one to tell her otherwise. She's the one who named you Avon. Josephine laughed. She said that men do it all the time. Why shouldn't her daughter be Avon too? She was a firecracker. When she died, I didn't know what to do. I was getting on in years already, and I had this park to look after. I didn't think I could provide the attention and care a baby like you needed, so I thought it would be best to let a nice family adopt you. So you just let me go, I said. Yes. Into the foster care system for 2 years? Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't think that would happen. All I thought was that a nice, loving family would want to adopt a baby like you. A baby like me, I repeated. She shook her head. Oh, I'm saying everything all wrong. I sighed. It doesn't matter now. You were right. A nice, loving family did adopt me, and that's all that matters. So, how did you find us anyway? Well, I could never stop thinking about you, wondering how you were doing. She looked down at her desk, her cheeks turning pink. So I hired someone to find you some years back. She looked up at me like she was checking on my reaction, and then looked away again. He's been giving me regular reports about what's been going on with you. So you've been stalking us? I cried. No, not stalking. Just checking to make sure y'all was okay. That's how I found out your daddy had been out of work for a while, and y'all was about to lose your house. We were, I asked, surprised at the information. Of course they didn't tell you. They're good parents. Yes, I said, they are. So I got this plan forming in my head, to ask your daddy to apply for this job. I hadn't been managing the park for years. I just couldn't do it after. She looked down at the picture. Anyway, I prefer to be in the restaurant, just working, keeping an eye on things, sort of secret-like. My old park manager didn't have anything under his hat but hair, so I was relieved to see your daddy had worked as a restaurant manager. I thought it was worth a shot. I didn't know he'd apply. I'm glad he did. How come he doesn't know you're the owner? Oh, I go by Joe Kavanaugh for all my business dealings, but around here I'm Josephine Oakley. Gives me an air of mystery, don't you think? I stared at her, not exactly sure what to think. If they all knew who I was, they'd be bothering me about every little thing like they used to. I just couldn't handle that anymore. Only my accountant, Gary, knows the truth. I prefer it that way. She ran a hand through her dyed red hair. And Henry, but his mind's going. No one else around here worked back when Avon was here, and I thought I did a good job of making sure no one would ever know who I was. She smiled at me. I should have known you'd figured it out. Smart as you are, just like her. I took a deep breath. So what now? Do you expect me to call you Grandma or something? Oh, heavens no. I never planned on telling you who I was. I'm leaving Stagecoach Pass. It's time for me to retire. Over 80 years old and still working like a dog. Stick a fork in me, I'm done. Where will you go? The Golden Sunset Retirement Community about 5 miles from here. She nodded. Yeah, they have a swimming pool and a mediocre cafeteria. I guess it'll do. She stared at me. I don't expect you to want me in your life. I'm just glad to know that you all are doing okay now. What are you going to do with Stagecoach Pass? I asked, worried my parents would be left without jobs again. Well, it's yours. I stood up straight. What do you mean? I mean you own it. Right now it's under your parents' control, but when you turn 18, it's all yours to do with as you please. Are you serious? She nodded. You're my only family. It's all I can do for you. This land is worth a lot of money. I stuck my chin out. Maybe I should just sell it and leave. You can do that if that's what you want to. I was quiet for a minute. No, I don't think I will. I kind of like it here. Avon liked it here too. You know, she used to play the guitar and sing. She used to do shows here for people. I play the guitar too. She smiled. I'm not surprised. So, Avon, she was a performer? Oh yeah. She didn't just sing with her guitar. She rode horses in rodeos. She loved being the center of attention. Tell me something else about her. Josephine grinned. She loved tarantulas. Chapter 36. It was a lovely, perfect evening as I kicked the row of soccer balls into the net one by one. I really was starting to like Arizona. The constant sunshine, the smell of orange blossoms in the air, the soft green grass I walked on barefoot whenever I could, and the beautiful sunsets. I gazed up at the evening sky after I kicked the last ball into the net. It looked like it had been painted with watercolors of pink, orange, and purple. I sighed. Nice work, Green, Coach Fuller called. I ran over to Jessica, and we worked on moving the ball back and forth between us as the other girls took turns at the net. We're going to have a team kickoff party at my house this weekend, Jessica said breathlessly as we worked. Want to come? Yeah, I said. Should I bring anything? Jessica paused with her foot in the ball. How about some soda? Okay, and do you think you might come to my festival? Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure most of the team is planning on it. Good job today, girls, Coach Fuller said. I checked the watch around my ankle. Wow, that flew by. I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Jessica looked past me and didn't answer. I turned around when I heard a bark and spotted Connor staring at the edge of the field. Is he your friend? She asked. Connor raised his hand in a wave, and I smiled. Yeah, I said, he's my best friend. She kicked the ball to me, and she grinned and raised her eyebrows. He's cute, she said, and ran off to join the other girls headed to the locker room. I let out a breathy laugh and walked over to Connor. I stopped about 3 feet from him. Hi. Hi. He looked down at his feet and then back up at me. You made the soccer team? Yeah, I did. And you made a new friend? He gestured toward Jessica, still walking back to the locker room with everyone else. I glanced at her and then turned my attention back to Connor. Yeah, I studied the painful look on his face, but I missed my old friend. Connor smiled and shrugged his shoulders. Where have you been? I asked. Just home. I decided I was never coming back to school. What made you change your mind? You, he said, and my mom. She told me to get my butt out of bed yesterday. I thought she was going to drive me to school, but instead she called into work and we spent the day together. You did? Connor nodded. Yeah, we went out for dinner. Seriously? At a real restaurant? Yeah, well, sort of. We got takeout and ate it in the park. But still, I said, it's a good start. We stood there awkwardly for a moment. Guess what? What? Josephine, the lady who works in the steakhouse? She's my grandmother. His mouth hung open. What? I nodded. Yeah, she's Joe Kavanaugh. She's the one who hired my parents. Why? She said she wanted to meet me and make sure I was okay. So who was the girl in the picture? My birth mother. What happened to her? She died, I said, surprised to feel the knot in my throat, surprised at how much I wish I could have known her. I'm sorry, Avon. Josephine gave me up because she didn't think she could care for me. I guess she thought she was doing the best thing for me. I'm sure that's what she thought at the time, Connor said, but obviously she regretted it to have brought you out here. Well, if she thinks she can have a relationship with me after all this time, she's mistaken. I dug my cleat into the ground. Of course, Connor agreed. She must be a terrible person. Well, I don't. Connor grinned at me, and I narrowed my eyes at him. I see what you're trying to do here. I don't think I'm ready to forgive her for abandoning me. She didn't exactly leave you in a cave in the desert. How old is she? 83. So she was 70 when you were born? I bet she was thinking, holy cow pie, I'm going to be near 90 by the time this here baby graduates high school. She'll have to push me in my wheelchair to the ceremony. That's going to be hard to do with her feet. Your Texas accent is awful. You get my point, he said. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I smiled at the ground, kicking at the dirt with my cleat. Everything is really coming together for the festival. I think we're going to be a big success. Anything you do would be a big success, Avon. My cheeks flushed and at the compliment. I'm sorry you're not going to be there. I looked up at him. It won't be the same without you. I'll think about it, okay? He said. That's the best I can do. I guess I'll have to accept it then. We stood there quietly for a minute. My mom's going with me to the next meeting, Connor said. That's so great. Do you want to come with us? He frowned. I'm sure Dexter would love for you to be there. I'd love to be there for you, not for Dexter. Are you sure? Because I know he's so funny and all of that. I lost my place, sorry. I'm sure, I said, and he's really not that funny. Connor smiled. I was always thinking maybe you could teach me a little bit on the guitar. See how it goes. I'd love to. My mom and I watched this video online about people with Tourette's and how music can almost be like therapy for them. It can even make them stop ticking while they're doing it. When I told her about you and the guitar, she thought it would be a great idea for us to work together on it. She really likes you. That's amazing, I said. I mean about the music, but also about your mom. She's getting involved. Yep, because I'm letting her. You were right. It's because I'm so smart. I tossed my hair back over my shoulders. Yes, you are, Connor said. Even smart enough to be an astronaut. Chapter 37. The morning of the festival, I woke up before it was light out. I had so much to do, and I couldn't wait to get started. The first thing I did was sit down on my computer and write a blog post. Come to Stagecoach Pass today for our festival. We'll have good food, art, and fireworks. It will be the most fun you've had since the last super fun time you had. I was frustrated for the first time in a long time at how long it took me to get my jeans on. In my excitement, I kept missing the button with my hook, but I eventually got it and I rushed out of the apartment and downstairs. Mom and Dad were already up and out in the park, making sure that everything was in order. When Mom saw me, she said, "Get back upstairs and eat some breakfast." I did, I said. Liar, she said back. I made my way to the petting zoo to visit Spaghetti. I petted him with my foot and whispered to him, "It's going to be a busy day." He lifted his head and looked at me lazily and then laid it back down like he was saying, "Maybe for you." I walked around Stagecoach Pass all morning, trying to be useful, running errands for anyone and everyone, delivering messages, and making phone calls. By 9 o'clock, I was lightheaded with hunger, so I sat down with Josephine in the kitchen of the steakhouse and ate a bowl of beans. "Today's your big day," she said. I scooped a spoonful of beans carefully into my mouth, holding the spoon with my toes. "I forgot to ask you about something," I said. "What's that?" "I found an old necklace up on the hill. It's silver with a turquoise stone in it." "Was that still up there?" "We released Avon's ashes at the top of the hill. That was her favorite necklace, so I hung it on a little wooden cross. I figured it would be long gone by now, probably washed away in a monsoon. Could I see that necklace sometime?" "Sure." I put down my spoon and pushed the bowl away from me. "I better get going." I left the kitchen, hoping the awkward feeling I got around Josephine would go away in time. I walked outside and was disappointed to find that people weren't already pouring in at the entrance, and more disappointed that Connor wasn't out there. Around 10 o'clock, a few people trickled in. As the morning wore on, the trickle became a steady flow. The Flapjackaroos started playing on the newly cleaned stage around noon. I had no idea what to expect of breakfast entertainers, but they weren't bad. And except for a song about bacon or eggs Benedict thrown in here and there, they mostly played normal country music. By late afternoon, the parking lot was fuller than it had ever been. I wandered around enjoying the festivities and talking to the vendors about their art. I found Zion, and we ate an obscene amount of junk food together in the rodeo arena. He was normally so strict about what he ate. I was glad to see him relax a bit about that. We watched the large group of kids in the petting zoo. Some of them even gave Spaghetti a little attention, though he didn't seem to care much. I introduced Zion to Josephine and Henry, shot a rubber snake at the shooting range, and even stuck my face through a wooden painting of a cactus so that Zion could take a picture. And everywhere we went, I looked for Connor. At 6 o'clock, I left Zion and I made my way into the apartment to get changed for the evening events. Mom and I had gone shopping together the day before to pick out a new dress for the festival, and she had laid it out on my bed for me, perhaps worried I might pick something else to wear at the last minute. With a thumping heart, I carefully slipped the dress over my head and shimmied it down, tugging at the bottom with my toes. It took me a few minutes to get it all straightened and smoothed out. I stood up and I looked at myself in the mirror over my dresser. Mom walked up from behind and put her arms around me. "I like this look on you," she said, "but it's missing something." She pulled a necklace out of her pocket and placed it around my neck. It was the turquoise necklace. I could see that she had had it cleaned and replaced the chain. "It looks beautiful with your pink dress." "Thanks, Mom. That was sweet of you to do this for me. You know, this was Avon's favorite necklace." "Was it? Well, then it's extra special, isn't it?" She squeezed my shoulder. I gazed at myself in the mirror, wondering if I was really going to go out in front of people looking like this. "You know," Mom said, "I heard that there are a lot of people out there who came today because of your blog." I looked up at her. "My blog?" "Yep, they said they love it." "I don't know why. I don't have anything very interesting to say." Mom cupped my cheeks in her hands. "You, Avon Green, are the most interesting person I know." She kissed me on the nose. As I walked toward the door, she said, "Would you like a sweater, Avon? It might get a little chilly tonight." I shook my head. My shoulders have been covered long enough. They need to breathe. She walked to me, slipping a finger under one of my spaghetti straps, and snapped it. "Yes, they do." The sky looked like cotton candy as I made my way downstairs. I loved all the sounds and smells of the festival. Corn dogs and kettle corn and chili and funnel cakes. Walking over to the Flapjackaroos, I ran into Jessica and a large group of girls from soccer. "You guys came," I said, smiling hugely. "This is great, Avon," Jessica said, "and you look amazing." "Thanks," I blushed at the compliment. You should come watch the music." As they walked behind me, I spotted Zion sitting at the table by himself, munching on a box of popcorn. I walked with the girls over to him and introduced them. He mumbled a hello to the girls as he stared at his feet and tried to hide his popcorn behind his back. I made my way to the stage and stood at the bottom of the steps. When the lead singer of the Flapjackaroos saw me, he told the audience that they had a special accompaniment, and I walked up the stairs to join them. He placed my guitar in the front of a chair on the stage for me, and I sat down. But it wasn't my guitar. It was the guitar that we had found in the storage room, hidden under the old desk. It was the guitar that had belonged to my mother. It had been cleaned, repaired, and restrung. I looked out into the audience, and I saw my parents watching me. Mom put her fingers to her mouth and blew me a kiss. I slipped my feet out of the flowery flats and carefully plucked at a string with one not quite steady toe. We played Tumbling Tumbleweeds, which I had been feverishly practicing all week, even though my part was quite simple. A large audience formed to watch as we played, and I saw that all their eyes were on me. Me in my strappy pink dress. Me in my mother's necklace, playing my mother's guitar. Me with terribly flushed cheeks, beaming as the lead singer winked at me while we played. I looked out into the crowd, and I saw Jessica and the other girls watching me with excited faces. I saw Zion smiling and waving, and I nodded back. I saw my parents, arms around each other, swaying to the music. I saw Josephine watching me from the very back of the crowd. She had a painful look on her face, and I wondered if she was thinking about her daughter. I tried to imagine how hard it would be for a woman who had been in her position, having just lost her only daughter, already getting on in years, as she had put it. I thought about what Connor had said. She probably truly believed she was doing the best thing for me. So I decided maybe I would visit her at the Golden Sunset retirement home when she left. Maybe we could share a meal of mediocre cafeteria food. Maybe swim in a pool full of old people. I smiled at her, and the painful look on her face seemed to dissolve. And then, right in the center of the crowd, slowly making his way to the front, I saw Connor. He wasn't ticking, even though he was completely surrounded by people. He looked totally at peace while I played. When the song ended and the audience clapped for us, I stood and took a bow. The lead singer pointed at me and clapped, causing the audience to clap louder, and so I bowed again. I ran off the stage and straight into Connor at the bottom of the stairs. I felt exuberant and full of energy. I couldn't contain. "Come on," I said to him. "The fireworks are starting soon." We ran away from the stage and found Zion toward the back of the crowd. He joined us as we ran past the gold mine, overseen by a new man named Ramiro who did not hate children, where lots of kids were aggressively focused on finding real stagecoach pass gold. We took the trail out to the desert, and the three of us made our way up to the mighty hill, lit at this point only by the light of the full, shining moon. We were almost at the top when I saw something out of the corner of my eye. I stopped and stared at the ground, just in time to see what looked like a monstrous spider scurry into a hole. Connor turned around. "What?" My heart beat rapidly. From the performance, from running up the hill, from whatever it was I might have just seen. I thought I saw something. "Tell us about it later," Connor said. "We need to hurry." When we got to the top of the hill, I sat down beside my saguaro, and Connor sat beside me, and Zion sat beside him. "I knew you'd come," I said to Connor. He laughed. "I didn't even know I would until about an hour ago." He looked at me in the moonlight, blinking his eyes. "But I'm really glad I did." He let out a bark. "Me too," Zion and I both said at the same time. Connor looked down at the city lights. "You spend a lot of time up here, don't you?" Yeah, I do. I come up here when I need to think or be alone. Up here I can see things clearly." "What do you see?" Connor asked. I looked down at Stagecoach Pass, then back at Connor and Zion. "I see two of the best friends I've ever had." Zion smiled, his white teeth gleaming in the moonlight. So I'm glad we came here, I said. And I'm glad for everything that's happened, because if it hadn't, I wouldn't have known either of you. And I'm glad I know you. Connor's hazel eyes flashed from the very first firework. I'm glad I know you too, Avon. Me too, Zion said. As the fireworks exploded over the lights of the city, millions of lights for millions of people, I didn't feel so insignificant anymore. I felt as big as the giant saguaro cactus beside me. I felt like I was shining, and this time I thought maybe it wasn't just the moon. Maybe the light was in me. Chapter 38. I sat at my desk, staring at my computer screen. When I'm done with you, there won't be anything left to snore, I heard the cowboy outside shout. I smiled, remembering my prank with Connor. It seemed like so long ago. As the gunshots fired off outside, I gently tapped my toes on the keys and hummed Tumbling Tumbleweeds to myself, thinking about what I should write. Thank you so much to everyone who visited Stagecoach Pass for our festival yesterday. It was a wonderful day and one I know I won't ever forget. Over the last several weeks, I've been getting more and more emails from other kids like me, kids without arms. A lot of them are looking for advice about all kinds of things, but I'd say most of my emails are about school. Everything from making friends to handling homework assignments to dealing with mean comments and the looks. I thought about it and I came up with a list of 20 supplies you need to survive middle school when you don't have arms. So here it is. 1. Good shoes. Ease of removal is of utmost importance here. Ease of reapplication, equally important. 2. Sense of humor. I'm being very serious here. You gotta have one. Seriously. 3. A sizable daily breakfast. You never know when you might chicken out in the lunchroom. Get your daily fuel requirement early in the day. 4. Easy to eat bagged lunches. Do you really want to carry that giant tray through the cafeteria and forget about bringing stuff like chili and clam chowder for lunch? Really, forget that. 5. An easy to carry, open, close, get things out of book bag. 6. Lots of cute shirts. This really applies to both people with and without arms. And when you're ready, tank tops. 7. Bully spray. Similar to bear spray, only better. Would be great to have those for nasty little comments. I am totally inventing this. 8. Thick skin. More like armor skin. 9. An e-reader is super helpful, and no more toe paper cuts. 10. Some kind of sport or recreational activity. Soccer, dance, swimming, professional hopscotch. You can do it. I'm trying out my motivational speaking skills here. 11. Pants that button easily. Trust me, when nature calls at school, you'll be grateful you listened. 12. Your handy-dandy hook. From buttoning pants to lifting $1 out of your pocket, a good hook is essential. 13. A wide variety of nail polishes. Boys probably don't care much about this, but when people are staring at our feet as much as they do, we want to look our best. Am I right, ladies, or am I right? 14. Nunchucks. At least until bully spray becomes available. 15. An open heart and eyes. You think you're the only one out there who feels different? What about the kids sitting alone in the library or out on the sidewalk? 16. Awesome parents. This is a must. 17. Friends who listen. 18. Friends who laugh with you. 19. Friends who are brave. 20. Friends who love you just the way you are. These last few supplies are hard to find, but when you do find them, and I sincerely hope you do, hold on to them forever and don't ever let go. I felt a hand on my shoulder, and I looked up to find Mom standing behind me. I didn't know you were there, you sneak, I said. I liked your latest post. Thanks. Oh, and I finally thought of a good name for my blog. Avon's Random Thoughts is kind of lame. So, what will this world-famous blog be called then? She asked. The Unarmed Middle Schooler's Guide to Survival. She laughed. I love it, and I can guarantee there's not another blog out there like it. Nope, I agreed. I'm totally original. Okay, guys, looks like it's our last chapter, chapter 39. Connor, Zion, and I walked down the crowded sidewalk at school. It was lunchtime, and everyone milled about, carrying lunch bags. They congregated in the grass, eating their sandwiches. We discussed our plans for the weekend. The guys were going to help me come up with a memorial for Avon to put at the top of the hill. I thought it would be a nice surprise for Josephine. I was also going to start teaching them how to play the guitar. Connor hoped that it would help with his tics, and Zion hoped it would help him with the ladies. We already have 5 shops rented out from the festival, I told them. Really great artists, too. That's awesome, Zion said. And I've been thinking about how dead Stagecoach Pass is over the summer, I said. It's just too hot for people to come and walk around. So I've been at the outdoor malls taking notes about what they have to offer that still draws people in during the summer. And get this, I jumped in front of them. They both stopped and gave me their full attention. I waited a moment for tension. Finally, I said, splash pad, with a serious, dramatic flair. You want to put in a splash pad at Stagecoach Pass, Connor said. Not a regular splash pad, I explained, like an old-fashioned splash pad. Oh yeah, Zion said. Like the splash pads they used to have that Billy and the kid brought his kids to? Ha ha, I said. I mean, instead of a regular splash pad, it would have like a water-pumping windmill and a little creek that runs around it, and maybe even a fort with a water slide or something like that. It would, of course, have to stick with the Stagecoach Pass theme. That's a great idea, Connor said. Yeah, and we could plant some big trees around it with picnic benches underneath for the parents to sit. And then, if we got our sandwich shop and our smoothie place, they'll have something to pick up for lunch. I also thought that we need a store that sells old-fashioned toys, like really cool ones. It could be quite the summer outing for families. You know, Avon, said Zion, I think one day you might be running that place. Are you kidding me, said Connor. She already is. Oh, and another thing I said, I'm going to learn how to ride a horse. Cool, said Connor. Awesome, said Zion. And you know what? They didn't look surprised at all. Jessica walked by us. Hey, Avon, she called, and a couple of girls walking with her waved at me. Hey, I said. See you guys at practice later. I saw that they were walking by the cafeteria. I stopped. The guys stopped and both gave me a questioning look. I looked at Connor. I looked at Zion. And I walked to the doors. You guys want to eat together? I said. The corner of Connor's mouth tipped up a little and he barked. We walked to the doors and opened one for me. Ladies first, he said, almost as if he were asking me if I had thought this through. If I was certain. I smiled at Connor, stepped forward into the doorway, and entered a cafeteria I had never seen before. After all, there was a lot I needed to do with my life. I had places to see, things to try, new friends to meet, and a light to shine. The end. If you are watching with me right now and you just finished the book along with me, send me a message or comment telling me how you liked it. Go take an AR test. You can get the link either through LUSD or through my class website. But please get the points, take the AR test. Let me know if you liked it. I hope you enjoyed getting to watch Fern. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.